Hello, everybody, and welcome to the OZone. Live from Koreatown, it is Omar Miller with his fabulous brother, Terry Miller. On the black-hand side, brother, how you feel?
How you feeling, sucker?
It's a stone groove in here, Jack. And I'm feeling good. I'm actually feeling really good because it's finally not 100 degrees outside in Los Angeles.
About time, right?
Unbelievable.
This has been a very hot, sticky summer.
Very hot summer in more ways than one, literally and figuratively.
Very honeysuckle-ish.
We have a lot to honeysuckle on today. Major injuries in baseball. You had Nolan Arenado get his hand look like was broken, but now he's back in the lineup. Bryce Harper got hurt. Aroldis Chapman is suspect. We got big moves going down in the big three. We got a major matchup to talk about between Ice Cube and LeVar Ball, also known as Yeah. We got Spike Lee boycotting for Colin Kaepernick. We got a college football preview that we need to get in on. And we even got some news from across the pond about Cristiano Ronaldo getting suspended. Want to start it off, though, straight with the NFL.
Straight with it,
because there's so much that's happened over the weekend, and it seems like the NFL is most directly responsive. We had the terrorist acts and the racist marches that took place in Charlottesville, in Virginia, that have the nation and really parts of the world up in arms. I saw a statement from German Chancellor Angela Merkel just espousing she was just mortified that anything that's affiliated with Nazism is still alive based on the way that it's criminalized in Germany.
Right.
And, you know, the young lady, Heather Heyer, lost her life, so God bless her soul for trying to do the right thing and protest and peace and so on and so forth. Well, what we're seeing now is Colin Kaepernick's protest and his form of protest seems to be the preferred method now for football players. So like everything else, people just needed a leader to express what it is that they were about. And what we're seeing is now this past weekend in preseason football, we have quite a few players who decided to sit down.
Yeah. Bennett.
Yeah, Martellus Bennett decided to sit down.
Michael Bennett.
Michael Bennett, sorry.
Yeah,
Michael Bennett. Sorry about that, up in Seattle. Mm-hmm. And he's just
Martellus'
a solid
brother,
dude.
right?
Yes. Yeah. That's why I get him mixed up. I'm sure people do the same with us. But you have him. You have Marshawn Lynch from the Raider Nation.
Beast mode, but they're saying they don't know why he's doing it. He could be just doing it just because.
I don't think it's an accident.
I don't think it's an accident.
I don't think it's a coincidence. If you want to buy into that, that's,
especially from being from where he's from as well.
Exactly.
So he's been through it.
That's
knows.
Town business.
Yeah.
He knows what time it is. You even got actor/activist Jesse Williams, fellow uninterrupted.com podcast mate, who sat down at the national anthem of the Big Three. And he made sure that there was no confusion about why he was doing it. He actually put up a picture that said, as soon as you stand up for us, I'll stand up for the anthem. And it was addressed to the president, I do believe, or it was just addressed to the public at large after the massacre of the protesters that took place. Massacre may be a strong word, but after the terrorist activity that took place, that took some people's lives and put others in the hospital.
Now, why do you think that the president really doesn't like to call that terrorism?
Because he's a racist. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think because he's ideologically, I believe that he has no problems from benefiting from the prejudice that comes along with those people who he then in turn doesn't want to inflame in case he wants to run again. And whenever you have a former Klan Grand Dragon, Grand Wizard, whatever that silly shit is called, whenever you have that person reaching out to say good looking out, things are going left.
Right.
And it is what it is. But my thing is tying it back into sports that just blows my mind is how many guys that we have out here that actually are speaking out against the protest.
There's some kind of confusion with Black Lives Matter and
Antifa, this group or whatever that was called.
And for some reason, they seem to believe that Black Lives Matter means they're saying that all lives doesn't matter.
Yes,
and it's not true. There's not that type of conflict.
No, it's like being at the rally to find a cure for AIDS, and you stand up yelling, talking about, yeah, but what about cancer patients?
Right. We'll go to the cancer rally.
And I think that. It's pretty unfortunate, but what I'm saying is directly, I want to play some clips if I can find them, but there's been some outspoken people to say that they want to make sure that the protest does not hit their ground. Did you see Hugh Jackson came out and said that he doesn't want his players to protest?
Oh, really?
I'm very surprised. I'm going to read you a statement from Hugh. Hugh Jackson, head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Hugh actually is somebody that we've hung out with that actually is a really cool guy.
Yeah.
This came as a surprise to us completely. Hugh said Monday, he said, I think everybody has a right to do, and I get it. But the national anthem means a lot to myself personally, the organization, and our football team. I hope, again, I can't speak. I haven't really talked to our team about it. I would hope that we don't have those issues. I understand that there's a lot going on in the world. I like to just keep it here. What we deal with, we try to deal with as a team in our closed environment. We talk about things. Jackson continued, hopefully that won't happen. I can't tell you it won't happen, but I just know our guys. And I don't think that is where our focus is. We hope that the things that are going on in the world get ironed out, but I know right now that we're doing everything we can to get our football team better. To me, it's just mind-blowing.
Sounds like it's sort of a threat.
It's a veiled threat, very thinly veiled threat, to basically say if you engage in this form of protest, you won't have to worry about playing and or being on the team.
Right.
It's going to take somebody in Cleveland. I'm not so familiar with their roster, but it's going to take somebody in Cleveland.
They don't really have any standout players like that.
Yeah, that the team can't get rid of to be willing to step out and to make a statement. I just don't understand this buck passing that Hugh was doing here, Coach Jackson is doing here. I don't understand it in general, because I read how the internet is just undefeated when it comes to comedy, but you know what? They do well when it comes to drama too. Somebody put up something on Twitter the other day that said, for everybody wondering what they would have done during the Holocaust and slavery, you can now find out because you're in it now, and whatever you do is what you would have done.
Wow.
In essence saying,
That's a deep statement.
It is. In essence saying, hey, guess what? Now is the time. And you're looking at these athletes who are directly and disproportionately affected by all of these events because most of the athletes are black men. Mm-hmm. And you're asking them to not be involved in any form of protest. Or if they are involved in a form of protest, do it off the clock. Whereas everybody knows that if you do it off the clock, it's nowhere near as effective. And this is what to me is admirable when it comes to a guy like Bennett, a guy like Cap, a guy like Marshawn, who sit down.
I feel like football, the players union is losing out a lot on this because they're not stepping up for a player that they know that's being blackballed, and that the NFLPA should stand up and back this guy because eventually it could happen to any one of the players that are in the league.
And this is the thing.
Not just pertaining to.
I agree.
Yeah.
And this is my point. My point is this should offend you. The events that took place in Charlottesville, and the subsequent events that have taken place all across the country since Cheeto got elected have really, they should offend everyone. Just like Trayvon Martin being killed as a teenager should have offended everyone. Right. You don't need to be a member of the black community for that to offend you, to recognize that life has been lost.
Right.
And
there was no justification for that.
That's my point is no matter who was at fault.
Right.
That to justify that when a life is lost and it's lost in the vein behind some foolishness, it's really, really, you have to be very insensitive and inhumane to go along. And you also, and this is the thing, is there's so much passivity going on. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to say, well, you know what? I don't need to be active myself. It's somebody else's responsibility.
Right.
Actually, hopefully they get it ironed out. Hopefully things work out the way that they're supposed to.
Well, I always feel like nobody wants to do anything until it actually affects them.
That's what it is.
And once it affects you, now all of a sudden I'm up in arms. And,
yep.
And usually it's too late then because it's a game changer. And when someone loses their life, there is no comeback from that.
And that young lady lost her life out there.
Yeah.
Heather Heyer lost her life out there, which is really, really unfortunate.
And there's a lot of people who aren't sympathetic to that because it didn't affect them directly.
I agree. And if she was in their family, then it would be a whole different animal.
Exactly. But she was out there actually standing up for what's right,
She was standing up for civil rights.
Yeah.
And for her to lose her life with that, she has now become a victim of the struggle, which is really, really unfortunate. And want to hear what what a Hall of Fame receiver Tim Brown has to say to Beast Mode about him and that potential protest.
How do you feel, Tim, about Marshawn Lynch choosing not to stand for the national anthem?
Why, man? Why bring this on yourself? I mean, he has the perfect thing going on in Oakland. Why bring negativity to this incredible positive situation? So now you got Jack Del Rio on skates trying to figure out what to say. I'm sure they're going to be trying to get to Mark Davis, and Reggie, man. I don't know. I just don't get it. I understand these guys, man. They try to make statements and they're trying to, be a part of this world. But football is where people go to get away from all that stuff.
Is this a distraction to the team?
Well, I mean, I'm sure everybody's going to say that it's not, but I'm sure everybody would tell you they wish they didn't have to talk about it and answer to it also. Either he's going to choose to represent himself and to do this deal, or he's going to, say, hey, I'm here to help the Raiders win a football game, win a championship if I can. And because outside of the stadium, he can do whatever he wants to do. And I know the Raider organization well enough to know that they would help him any way they possibly could, outside the stadium.
Should Marshawn stand next week?
I hope so, man. I hope so. I mean, I hope this is a preseason thing. He's not suiting up. He's not whatever. And I just hope he's just ignoring it from that standpoint. But I just would hate to see this season be marred with people protesting him and all that kind of stuff. And, this team legitimately has a chance to win a championship this year, I believe.
What Uncle Tom?
He was just on Ballers. And I let me tell you something. The shuck and jive train is being conducted by Tim Brown, and amongst other people who tell Colin Kaepernick to cut his hair and the whole song and dance. Mind-blowing to me is what we're seeing here.
I'm blown away.
You didn't even hear. You didn't know about that, did you? I can see that.
Snuck that piece in on me.
It's a very disturbing piece. This is like the film Irreversible. This is a dark piece.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed. First of all, let's get down to the rubber meets the road. The NFL keeps acting like they care about winning. Teams care about winning. In reality, if you cared about winning, if the league was all about winning, then Jay Cutler wouldn't be playing. You would have Colin Kaepernick having that job, or even if you're talking about him backing someone up, why couldn't he back up the kid in Oakland? I mean, come on, dude. They're not serious about winning. Most of these organizations aren't serious about winning. They're serious about control, making people do what they want them to do. It's ridiculous. You're talking about a guy like Tim Brown who comes out and says something like that. Tim Brown shouldn't even never be left back in the stadium. They shouldn't even let him back in the stadium.
And tell us how you really feel. But he also, they're not only beyond that, are they not, whether or not it's about winning, what they are about is the bottom line. And once again, they're about the idea of saying, you know what, that's taking place somewhere else. Let's let that handle itself.
Yeah, listen, this is a place where you come and get away from reality.
Come on, man.
Watching millionaires play football? That's getting away from reality?
I mean, the most mind-blowing thing to me is Tim Brown is talking about it like he's not affected by the damn system. He's talking about it like you would think.
I'm sure that Tim Brown has been pulled over several times, especially when he was in Los Angeles driving while black back in the 80s. Come on, man.
No doubt about it that the Rampart division pulled Tim Brown over. They might have gave him love because they recognized him.
And he gave him the Tim Brown card. I bet you he went directly to it.
Exactly.
Hey, man, I'm Tim Brown from the Raiders.
I bet. And I mean, and this whole thing, I hope it doesn't mar the season. You know what I hope doesn't get marred? I hope the streets don't continue to get marred with people's blood that are out there just trying to live their lives and get equality for people. That's what I hope doesn't happen. Well, this guy is busy trying to act like a football championship is more important than people who are out there.
A football championship
dying
is not more important than one person's life.
Not more important than one person's life. And not more important than one citizen's life, one innocent citizen's life. And this
I'm very disappointed.
I can see it. You all the way. This dude has the nerve to sit around and talk about and equate the idea of to me, this kind of talk is like this is the Trump talk.
This is the Trump talk in blackface.
I'm going to tell you something else.
In blackface.
This is how slavery happened.
Yeah.
Because
they feeding us.
And beyond that, the people who don't know, I'm even go before that. The only way that the Dutch and the other Europeans who wanted to own other people who were able to perpetrate that fraud was there were other African tribes who went out and tricked other Africans into coming and being enslaved. And Tim Brown has just revealed to me to be the kind of person who would be a part of that.
Very disgusting. He's disgusting, dude.
Come on, man.
I'm disappointed in Tim.
Are you kidding me? This is like Michael Vick the other week. This is the same nonsense.
I don't even know where this thought process...
I mean, Michael Vick, I'll go as far as to say, actually, this is way worse than Michael Vick's scenario. Michael Vick is saying, hey, Colin Kaepernick, Michael Vick just came off like he was a little bit dumb. And since he's realized what's going on, he's like, he's apologized on television to his wife and all kind of stuff. Wife don't want to give him no booty because she's like, man, you playing games right now. And now Tim Brown, I mean, you heard it the way, it wasn't like that was edited. This is how, these are his thoughts. These are his thoughts.
Wow.
Yeah, I can see you. I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. I hate to reveal this to you. This is life. This is how it is.
You talking about being non-PC? That's it right there. It's sick. That's sick. That's a sick train of thought right there. That's a sick puppy, as they would say.
That's a sick puppy because just the idea that football and your individual success is more important than squashing neo-Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan walking and marching and killing people who are opposed to them.
And guess what? They wouldn't care if he was in his uniform. They would spit in his face.
Are you crazy? But it wouldn't matter to him because afterwards he can go to the hills and chill out.
Yeah.
And he'll be good. And him and his family will be good.
Wow.
This is
very selfish.
I mean, very disturbing. Very, very disturbing.
He was the king of the crossing route, though.
I mean, he's a monster. Tim Brown was a monster. Jerry Rice was better, but Tim Brown was a monster. He used to go after it in the Battle of the Bay.
He was great at the crossing route. Crossing route made his living off that crossing. He came in and it was a great play.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm sure people feel the same way about me by saying, hey, man, that guy should keep his opinion to himself. But if that's the opinion you're going to let out, thank you. That's all I have to say to Tim Brown. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for letting that opinion out so that I know what time it is, so I know I can never count on you if push comes to shove and you end up in the squeeze. And
don't call Tim.
Don't call Tim, man, because that was, wow. I mean, unbelievable. But I want to continue along with that thread. Did you hear what Rob Ryan, unemployed defensive coordinator, had to say?
What did Rob Ryan say?
You just, I got you today.
My dad served. He saw the flag. I respect the flag.
He's a tremendous football player and a tremendous person. I think you have to have that talk with him. I think people are getting this all wrong. I think the national anthem is for our entire country. My father served in the Korean War. I was brought up to respect the flag, respect the veterans. They're giving up their life for this flag. And I think the whole country needs a dose of, hey, let's be proud of our country. Let's stand behind our president. Let's do things. Do we have other issues? Absolutely we do.
We always have.
Now's not the time to do that. This is the national anthem. It's not just each sideline standing up for the national anthem. It's the entire stadium. All right, you're standing up for America. You're standing up for the flag, and everybody should do that. And I think you see those veterans at Walter Reed Hospital with blowing off legs and things like that, and they still love our country. They still love our flag, and I think that's not the time and place to do that. And I think you really have to have a heart to heart with these players and say, look, can you do this in another forum?
This is just unbelievable to me. The United States of America is amazing, first and foremost.
First of all, everybody should quit acting like he said that he's against the military. He never.
Everybody should quit acting like everybody who sits during the anthem is against the military, is against America,
right?
Or is in some way directly against the flag or the anthem.
Right.
Which, by the way, if you don't know, go look up the lyrics for the second verse of the national anthem where they talk about the niggers this and this, that, and the other that they decided to cut out for PC's sake while you're feeling so jazzy about things.
Right.
And I love the national anthem, to be honest.
Yeah,
because
the first verse is vicious.
The first verse is vicious. He came with a hard 16. Came nice with it. Came with a very, very Ice Cube circa 94-esque.
But then he lost his way in the second.
Then he lost his way. You can't be a great rapper forever. That's how it goes. It's a young man's game. But so now you look at the conversation that's going on here. Why is it? Do you think it's just another version of people dodging the issue to deflect it and talk about the military and the flag? Or do you think it's a generational thing? What do you think that is?
I just think that people don't, in general, know or have a background on what's going on in the world. Not enough.
A bubble.
Yeah.
People are in the bubble.
Exactly. And then it's easier to take the next guy's word as Bible. So if Donald Trump, if I don't do my own research and I listen to Donald Trump, I'll go along with whatever Donald Trump says. Or if Rex Ryan or anybody else. Or Tim Brown, whoever.
Or if it just didn't directly affect me, just like you said.
Yeah.
If you don't get pulled over and are not constantly the suspect of something, even when you're innocent, if you don't see people in your family get harassed or killed and so on and so forth, then it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to even fathom the concept that the system is tilted against certain groups.
Right.
It's just, and that's a difficult position to be in. It's not as difficult as being in the position of being systematically discriminated against, but that's a difficult position. And I really do hope this thing, in the world of social media, I love that this has now caught fire, if you will. You can't hide anymore in social media.
And I think that they hurt themselves a little bit, meaning the NFL, they made it a little bit bigger by not giving Kaepernick a job, which is a blessing in disguise so far.
Yeah, you're right. Wow, I didn't even think about it that way.
Because everybody's on board now. Not everybody, but the mass, their eyes are on this situation right now.
Yeah, you're right. And so now what's your take with that, moving on to other things that are going on in the NFL? What's your take on the trades? What do you think about Sammy Watkins to the Rams? Do you think they're actually going to have some offense? Will Todd Gurley bounce back?
Todd Gurley was a victim of bad coaching. I mean, they didn't have a great offensive line. They didn't have a great scheme. The coach wasn't that good. And then you want this guy to go out there without a quarterback and without really any receivers and run for 1,000 yards. It doesn't happen. You have to give him something to work with. There's never been any situation like what's going on with Ezekiel Elliott, where there hasn't been a complement of a running back and a quarterback situation where one succeeded pretty much without the other. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, so look at Troy Aikman. When Emmitt Smith decided to sit out for a couple of games or whatever, just seemed like just to teach the Dallas Cowboys a lesson, Troy Aikman all of a sudden became
a mere mortal.
Yeah, he was Clark Kent.
Yeah, he was not Superman.
Yeah, and these are the things that happen. The same thing that now Dak Prescott's job is going to be a little bit harder because he is a good quarterback, an above average quarterback, but when you take away the running game, which I've heard a few pundits say that it's not a big deal to Ezekiel Elliott's getting suspended for 6 days.
I don't know how that's not a big deal.
Because they have Alfred Morris and their offensive line. I don't believe that. That kid is a special talent.
No, he's a special talent.
So you're going to.
They got my man from the Raiders, but
they got Alfred Morris though. Alfred Morris is supposed to be the lead back right now.
Yeah, and
from,
they got
from Washington.
And what's his name from the Raiders?
McFadden.
Yeah, Darren McFadden, but from before. But and I think that's all good. But Ezekiel Elliott has that Hall of Fame type explosion that puts you in the playoff hunt.
He has that kind of explosion where anytime he touches the ball, you don't know what might happen.
Yeah, actually, you know that at least 4 or 5 yards is going to happen.
Exactly. He's forward. He's the running back that falls forward.
Yes, he does. He's too strong. Now, what's your take on what's going down with Zeke? So Zeke ran into some problems. It looks like he's had some domestic violence issues, potentially, because it doesn't seem like, once again, this is the NFL.
Policing itself,
but actually, I actually like the idea of policing it for organizations to police themselves when they do it well. But at the same time, they have policed Colin Kaepernick in his protest by way of inadvertently suspending him for a season or for life, but not necessarily the same way that they're suspending Zeke. So now 6 games, he's appealed today, and he's appealed on the grounds that there wasn't enough evidence. He was never, I guess he hasn't been charged, by the law enforcement, so on and so forth. Never. Even though the law enforcement people came over and said they actually fully believed the woman that
but
said he busted her jaw.
Yeah, but he also had, I think, a restraining order against her as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's one of these situations where,
he say, she say?
Yeah, he said, she said, and they shouldn't be together, obviously.
Yeah,
but the problem is that this happened in the past, and they should have investigated this sooner. So what makes you pull this rabbit out of the hat now and say, you know what, we don't have any evidence, but we're going to suspend you for X amount of games?
Yeah.
I mean, if he's done it, he should have to pay. But there's no evidence really right now to say that he's done anything.
I think overall they're penalizing him.
I
was about to say they're penalizing him for just wilding out. What are you doing? You literally have the world in the palm of your hand. Right. You are the man. Zeke has that kind of thing to be the face of the NFL. And
I don't think anymore.
No. But you can't run around on TMZ pulling women's tops up. You can't. That obviously did not invite you to do that.
Right.
That was a charge waiting in itself, and she decided to not press charges for her reasons. But I think there's an accumulation, that there's a lesson that they're trying to teach Ezekiel Elliott, that his behavior won't be tolerated no matter how great he is. And we've seen it time and time again that you are not bigger than the game of football. Yeah. I mean, they just did it with Tom Brady with suspending him, and Tom Brady came back and completely and totally busted ass by design to show everybody inflated balls, deflated balls. Yeah. You can't hold me.
I drag my balls.
I drag them all over the place. No, I drag
all on the league.
16 is dragging them all on the league, and there's no answer for me. I think, wow, man, it's the NFL, what a dichotomy. What a conundrum that they are in, with constantly breeding more and more aggressive and violent people, while at the same time
being surprised that they're aggressive and violent.
They're aggressive and violent.
How are you like this? This is what you're telling me to do. And then you want me to turn it off.
Yeah.
You have to deprogram these kids.
Now, I saw a meme, too. I don't know if it was real or not, where James Harrison said that nobody on my team better not sit out the anthem. If they do, they better be in a wheelchair. And James Harrison was threatening people about sitting down.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, this thing, the division that this is causing, and the division that it's exposing, I hope is just a means and a grounds towards actual healing.
Well, we can reflect on when Muhammad Ali stood up, and he stood up for something that he felt like was very, very important at the time.
Yep.
And he made a difference. And this is what you do. Difference. You have your stage. You use
to
that
his
power.
own detriment.
Exactly. And you use that power at that time to make a point. And
if that's the cloth that you're cut from.
Exactly.
And if it is not the cloth that you're cut from,
you make threats.
Then you make threats, or you perpetuate the system's rhetoric, and you try to pass the buck. Right. Is what you do. You don't take responsibility for it yourself. You try to pass the buck. That's just unbelievable to me. Want to move on. Well, no, we'll stay in the football range. You see that you see Spike Lee is organizing a boycott for Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah. Everybody's going hard for Cap right now.
They are, as they should.
But this is what I'm saying. The players aren't going hard for him.
A handful of them are, and they're not. At large, they're not.
Yeah, they're union. The white players, the black players, any player that's a part of that NFLPA should be involved in this, just because they're saying that they can take your job anytime they want to if you step out of line, regardless of whether it's
you've broken the law.
Yeah,
you actually. What they're saying here is you have a better chance of keeping your employment if you've broken the law, as opposed if you're actually posing a real threat, an ideological threat to the overall uniformity of the system and of the people that we're trying to entertain.
And this is what the union is supposed to be about. You're supposed to be unified. This is not unification.
It's not. It's split belts. It's not unified. Well, it is late August, ladies and gentlemen, and that means it's time for some college football. Got a little college football preview coming from Aaron Plunkett, CEO of CLA Sports.
Yo, what's going on, Big O?
AP in the house. How you feeling?
What's up, APZ?
Hey, what's going on? I'm feeling good, man. You know what? I'm actually excited. I'll turn my TV back on soon, and I don't know if I'll let my son watch it. His mom might get mad, but football season is back, baby.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. It's back. It's controversial. There's a lot of lines of society rolling over into football, and I think that there's a lot of guys that right now, young guys, like the guys you deal with on CLA Sports, that are going to have to learn which side of the ball that they're going to play on when it comes to social issues and so on and so forth. I think that it's a very interesting time in history that we're living in, and it's one that you don't want to be on the wrong side of for your own personal regret system. When you wake up down the road, God willing, 20, 25 years, you were on the right side of this one. But we're here to talk to you about the college football preview. We know you work with a lot of the kids with your recruiting service. And what do you think about the AP rankings right now? And not Aaron Plunkett, but Associated Press rankings right now, and who should we look out for?
Man, I can't speak to a ton of teams across the board, because I'm primarily a Pac-12. I'm West Coast biased type of guy, but
West Coast.
I look at teams like Alabama. They're definitely stocked coming back, and they got a lot of young talent, and Jalen Hurts is obviously going to be a little bit older now, and he has some experience under his belt. They got our man Najee Harris out there. He's from the Bay Area, a California guy, one of the top running backs in the nation at Alabama. He looks to contribute, but I just look at those guys over time and those programs in college football that have the tradition of winning, and Ohio State's going to be up there at the end of the season. Clemson has obviously proved that they're going to be able to get talent to come out there and to play, out there in Death Valley. But I think you got to look at some young teams like Florida State, you know what I mean? A team like that, they got a lot of young guys, especially DBs and linebackers. They had a dude named Dontavius Jackson, actually from Texas, who we got a chance to see one year. He's a linebacker out there, and he hit some kid harder than I've ever seen a high school linebacker hit somebody. So
really,
wow.
Florida State finds those guys, you know what I mean? And Jimbo Fisher is a great recruiter. So I think Florida State at the end of the day might be one of those teams that we're talking about at the end of it all. But if you want to go Pac-12, I'm going to look at teams like Washington. They're reloaded. Jake Browning is a great quarterback up there. He showed that he wasn't ready for the big time Heisman hype. At one point he was on people's lists, and he kind of, got picked apart towards the end of the season. But he's the type of guy, he'll learn. I think he threw something like, he has a state record in California in high school for touchdown passes. I think he might have even thrown like 90 in one season.
Wow.
Up at
Wow,
Folsom.
that guy was putting it in in the air.
Oh, yeah, Google it. His high school stats were ridiculous. So, he's great, and they just recruit great players up there with their staff at UW, you know what I mean? And, at the end of the day, you got guys like Dante Pettis who are going to step in for the loss of John Ross. They got a deep, young DB core, that's going to step in and replace those guys that went to the league. But I think it's USC's time in the Pac-12. Obviously,
You think it's time for a resurrection after what they pulled off last year at the Rose Bowl?
Man, I think that momentum and look at, okay, they lost Adoree Juju and they lost some of these guys, some of the linemen, but man, they've overcome, I think, that sanction era, and they're gonna resume that Pac-12 dominance. But teams like Colorado and Utah and Arizona, the Pac-12 is pretty stocked with talent right now, man. I think that it might be one of the best times for the Pac-12. If you look at the draft and how Adoree's doing now with the tight ends, and different guys from the Pac-12 are gonna be able to contribute, it's gonna be nice to see.
Well, that's great, man. And if you were a betting man, who do you think takes the Pac-12? Are you going with SC? Do you think they have a chance to actually rival and go for the national championship this year against the other powerhouses from down south?
I think
do they have enough, or do you think they need
that step up?
Okay,
they've got to have young guys that step up. They've got Chris Hawkins at DB. He's like a team captain. I'm not sure if he's a captain this year, but he's a veteran, like a 5-year guy. I think he might have redshirted, 5th-year senior. But he might. I think he did redshirt actually. But then you got a lot of young guys. Jack Jones from Long Beach Poly is a corner stepping up. He's stepping into a big role. And you got kind of people are going to have to prove themselves in that defensive backfield with the absence of Adoree and Leon McQuay. Leon McQuay saved that Rose Bowl game for them because he got that interception.
Sure did. Big pick.
So, huge. So, imagine him not there. But you got, I think USC's got some young guys on the D-line. Rasheem Green from Sarah, he's huge. He's going to be a big guy coming back. And they've always, USC's always got those linebackers. If they don't get them locally, they'll get them from somewhere out of state. But I think they're back with Darnold, man. there it is.
Wow, there it is. And last thing I want to catch you with, give me a quick hot take on what you feel about the CIF Southern section going into this year with the college football preview of what's going down. Who do you like? Who do you think's making noise? And who's a sleeper?
The perennial guys are making noise. So you got Mater Dei and you got St. John Bosco. But, I think Sarah's had a few down years. And, since the Dory Jackson era when they won state, they haven't really gotten back up to that level since. But Mater Dei and Bosco are always big. I think Sarah is a sleeper to potentially take it off. They got a good QB. But Long Beach Poly has a lot of transfers. They got that quarterback from Oaks Christian who was committed to SC. He decommitted. Now he's committed to Florida, University of Florida, Matt Corral. They got a bunch of transfers at Poly that, they might be a sleeper, man. But at the end of the day, in high school football, it's all about the quarterback. Whoever's got the best quarterback at the end of the day is going to go. And Mater Dei has an Army All-American, and St. John Bosco has a guy whose mom used to be on American Gladiator, right? She was one of the ladies on American Gladiator, and the dad was former military. So the QB from Bosco runs about a 10-400, and he can throw the ball. He's committed to Iowa State. Bosco won state last year. They beat De La Salle. So I guess, you know what I mean? They're my front runner, but my sleepers are going to be Sarah or Long Beach Poly.
AP, wow, CLA Sports. That's a thorough analysis.
Yeah.
Tell the people where they can find you, give them handles on social media and the website itself, and a little bit about what it is that you do.
Check us out. We're at Sports Recruit on Twitter and Instagram, also on YouTube. So we do a lot of highlight mixtapes from high school football, high school basketball, locally and across the nation. And you can check us out. Actually, check out our Instagram special for our high school football preseason previews we've got. So we went and visited a few high schools locally, Sarah, Los Alamitos. We went to Cathedral Catholic downtown. So check those out, man, on YouTube, and support, like, subscribe, follow, and thank you, man, to the Ozone.
There it is. AP, thank you.
All right, AP.
All right, fellas.
Got a finger on the pulse of the community.
He really does. You want to talk about football, college, especially high school, that guy, man. Go to @SportsRecruits on Twitter, on Instagram. You get your daily dose of high school football because it's going down. He knows. He really knows. And he cares. It's
on a
great to see
personal
somebody.
level,
Yeah.
right.
It's great to see somebody so passionate about it. And now it's time to move on to a little thing that we call Major League Baseball. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, I have to say,
Did Giancarlo just hit another home run?
no, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
This guy, he gave it to Mad Bum. Thing you got to like about Giancarlo Stanton is that he goes deep off of primo guys, off of bum guys. It doesn't matter. You put him out there, he's going to go deep. Believe it.
Going deep.
And I mean, he's seeing the ball right now.
Sounds
man.
like he's pissed about losing that home run derby.
Seems like he's a little upset about it, and it also seems like he's bound and determined to earn every bit of that contract.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like.
He just cleared waivers, so maybe somebody might scoop him up the way he's playing.
Maybe. I mean, I have no idea why. I would be surprised if the Jeter and Jordan and all those guys let him go. You see that news that Jeter's the front runner to buy the team now.
I thought
agreed.
it's going through now.
Yeah,
right?
it's going through.
Yeah.
It's going down, as they say. And they say Michael Jordan's a small piece of that group as well. Mm-hmm. But, Derek Jeter's going to win, man. Believe it. I think I'm going to become a Miami Marlins fan as long as nobody says anything stupid about a protest.
Well, if you got Stanton on the squad, I'm sure if they get rid of him, they'll get something for him. I don't know.
And a lot.
I don't know if they'll get rid of him right now, though, because...
Yeah. I don't see why. I don't see where the Mad Dash would be.
In transition being sold.
Yeah, but between Yelich, him, D. Gordon, and Marcell Ozuna, and Justin Bohr, you have a real lineup there. If these guys can stay, if these guys can stay healthy, you have a real opportunity. But what I wanted to talk about is, did you see that grotesque injury that Bryce Harper suffered?
Yeah, it looks sort of funny when you see him pop up
I
like
didn't
that.
think there was anything funny about it.
It did, because the way that he tripped, it looks like it was almost like a gag. If you just turned on the television and saw somebody falling like that, you would think that it was like America's Funniest Videos or something like that. But it was all about that bag being wet, because it looks like his ankle was worse than his knee.
It looked really, really bad. I happen to know because I had an accident with a horse that tore up my knee, and I just, I happen to know that you don't want your knee to go the wrong direction. It's just not the way that you want to go. Or your ankle, but especially your knee. Now, the thing is,
it's going to be serious for them if he can't come back and be like, you need him to be close to what he was.
And what I want to talk about is the Washington Nationals potentially downplaying and lying about the amount of time and whatnot for the injuries that they sustained.
I think a lot of people lie about it.
I think so, but the Nationals seem to be putting out a precedent of a consistent shortchanging. Because if you remember,
Trey Turner?
Yeah, Trey Turner was not supposed to be out long. Forever it was Ryan Zimmerman. Jason's Worth has been out for like 10 years based on an oblique strain or something like that.
Trey Turner, he's just starting to ramp it up now, but his wrist, man, that's a serious injury. Even when he comes back, he might not be able to swing the stick like he swung it before because it saps power. It hurts bad.
Yeah. And the same with your knee if you're trying to drive to drive the ball.
Yeah, you need that Cobra core to drive off of.
Now, months ago, an OZone listener actually emailed me an article from the New York Post just recently because I was talking about the Bryce Harper injury. And months ago, one of your not-so-favorite coaches, Buck Showalter, actually said something about the wet bases.
Really? What did he say?
Yes. He said the bases that we use now have no give. They're hard as a rock, often because they get changed so often that they can be auctioned. We need a softer base so there's some give. A, players can more easily hold the bag so we don't have these unintentional overslides and outs on replays. B, you can see the indent on the bag in replay so you know if a fielder was on the bag when a runner touched it. And C, so there's some give when players go into a bag so there are fewer injuries. He said, I'm going to make our bases that way the next spring training because it rains all the time out there and we have to be thinking about how to make things safer all the time. He was basically saying that, look, the players are our biggest commodity in this league and we aren't willing to do the right thing.
Yeah, we can't take a chance on getting them hurt. And Bryce Harper is one of the best players in the game, period. If not the best.
And you're talking about potentially, I'm really concerned that we're going to be robbed of getting to see him and his wonderful career by the fact that he just plays hard.
Yeah, he was ramping it. He was turning it up going down the line.
I mean, all the time. He's always playing at full speed. I was at Dodger Stadium when he ran into that netting on the scoreboard trying to run down a ball and cut his face up and everything, and he was out a little while for that. It's something with his ankle or something like that. But it always has to do with him playing hard. Now, this guy needs...
But you know what? Playing hard has ruined a lot of great players' careers.
List them off.
We got Eric Davis. You got Ken Griffey Jr. Who else can we go with?
There's a lot of guys that play really hard.
Yeah, they just literally go all out every play.
Yeah, and it's amazing because you have a guy like Pete Rose who goes all out every play and hurts other people. Right? he doesn't get hurt. He's hurting other people. It's a tricky thing because Bryce. I was talking to another OZone listener who was saying, perhaps Bryce just needs to go ahead and go to the Yankees and pick up his $300 million, play first base and DH some of the time, and put up insane video game numbers.
Yeah, you look at that kid Wilson Contreras is the same way.
He plays hard.
Plays hard. He doesn't know how to slow down and, gauge the speed or whatever, and that's the way that you're taught how to play the game when you play it the right way. A lot of guys don't turn it down, and you end up paying the price by getting hurt. And this is baseball's fault, though. Baseball could have done something about that.
This is the second time that this has happened to Washington in Washington.
Come on, man.
Adam Eaton tore his knee up on a wet base, wet first base.
And you guys are making millions and millions of dollars. So what big deal is it for you to auction off this bag? Why is it that big?
This is the ancillary income. It's all about the dollar bill, y'all. And then you have it. Scott Boras came out and said, he just came out and said, hey, man, you guys got to do better.
And he's right.
And he is right.
You can't let guys, literally the best player on that team, if not one of the best players in the league.
Top 5 players in the league.
Yeah, get hurt running to first base, going hard. That's not right.
That's not right. And, I mean, all he did was run hard. And you could see it in slow motion. When you first watch it, like you said, in live motion, it looked like it was going to be on a blooper reel.
Yeah.
But then when you watch his cleat give, which then, because he was running so hard, he had so much torque, popped him up like somebody shot him out of a cannon.
Right. And you watch his ankle. I looked at his ankle more so than his knee because you could see that his knee got sublux, but his ankle really twisted as soon as it hit the bag because that's what really caused the problem. And you're running in cleats. You can't stop on a dime like that, and nor was he trying to. That's a bad look.
That's a really bad look, and they got to do better. Yeah, they got to do better. Who else has to do better is Aroldis Chapman.
What's wrong with your man? You're Yankee Nation all day. What's going on with him?
Well, no, it's just the idea that he's been struggling for a while, and the other day on Sunday Night Baseball, he came in. Really, he should have blown the game on Friday night. he walked the bases loaded, and Eduardo Nunez bailed him out with bad base running.
Right.
And then Saturday,
I think that Nunez was just trying to show up the Yankees for getting rid of him.
And you know what? That doesn't really work in baseball.
Doesn't work.
You have to play the game the right way. And so then when you look at the situation, yeah, man, this is.
He's a suspect closer at this point.
He's not lights out.
For me, he's not a pitcher. He's a thrower at this point.
That's exactly it. He came in and fortunately for the Yankees, he has the kind of stuff that he can get away with that a lot.
Yeah, you throwing 100, 203 miles an hour, you can get away with a lot.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot. But that kid Devers put the whammy on him.
Was not intimidated.
He was not. He took 3 healthy hacks. And one of them traveled about 400 something feet.
And that ball sounded like I don't know what.
Oh man, sound like a 12 gauge. Sound like what you imagine a redwood sounds like if it breaks in the forest. It was, but this is my point: is that looking at these teams, because this is the time with the dog days where you find out who's pretenders and who are the real contenders.
Yeah.
And the Astros need to do something to show that they're real, because they're so far out in front that they can weather this slump that they're in.
Right.
And they played a good game today. They did what they needed to do. But I still believe they need another arm. They need a starting arm.
They're talking to Verlander today.
I know. But they've been talking to him, so I don't know what.
Big so much like that can't just be.
There's so much flirting going on. When's the action?
Right. There's a lot of teasing going on.
So much tease. So much coconut teasing. What's going on? And so you have that. I mean, I think the Red Sox kryptonite is what we saw in that game that they lost on Friday, which was, but sometimes he makes great moves, so I can't put it all on the coach.
Right,
this
but
was
that move was a bad move.
Addison Reed can't be your setup guy. I'm here to tell you, Red Sox Nation.
Yeah,
Addison Reed is not ready to be your setup guy.
He's somebody that you bring in the 6th.
The 7th.
Yeah, building the bridge to the setup in the closer.
That's it. He can't.
High leverage is not his forte.
That's not his thing anymore. It hasn't been for years since he left the White Sox, really.
Yeah.
And so you have that. They need somebody there. The Astros are slumping. The Nationals got to get healthy. Otherwise, they don't have a chance.
Well, if they get Bryce and Trey Turner back, Trey Turner might be back in the next couple of weeks, and get Bryce.
Guys were sitting around in their drawers taking batting practice, even inside.
I want to see if Alex Wood is a big pitcher.
I think you know what? I'm with you, because he hasn't been.
I would go with
Rue
over Alex Wood.
This year, you have to go with Alex Wood, because Alex Wood is like lights out this year. He's pitching tonight. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. But yeah, man, I'm very excited about baseball. And then we want to move on to just our Knicks and notes. Did you see the thing with Cristiano Ronaldo?
Yeah, he lost his composure.
Yeah, they had the Classic go out there, and it was a pretty weak foul call. Mm-hmm. But then he kind of gave the ref a shove. He kept it under control, but he gave him a shove, and that was that whole "you can't touch me" policy, which is going to hurt the team.
Yeah, I think the superstardom went to his head this time.
He felt it. He did.
He felt himself.
He was feeling himself. No doubt about it.
Stand on the sideline, look pretty for about 6 games.
He looks like he's wearing makeup all the time.
Take that off, dude.
He can't. He's just a good-looking dude. What do you want from Cristiano?
Born like that.
It's just if he's born this way. He was born this way. Makeup and all. Oh, I have another note for you. I read something great about your man. Jamal Charles is ready to go, even though he has.
They hold him back. I'm looking at all the fantasy things, and they said that he's a sleeper out there.
Let me guess, he's your first pick.
I would get him at the back end because nobody would take him. They would sleep on him. Jamal Charles is going to end up being a man.
Don't sleep on me, homie.
He's going to end up being a man. You sleep. I'm telling you. You better pick him up in your league.
Molly Mall.
Molly Mall is real.
And then, why don't you cover your boy, who you love so much?
Who?
LeVar Ball and Ice Cube went at it.
Oh.
Tell the people what happened.
4-point competition. My boy, his jumper was a little broke. He let Ice Cube get him. Cube got him. Both of the jumpers were looking broke, but Cube put his lights out.
But what was the competition? You got to tell people what was going on.
It was a 4-point play for the, what was it? It was a 4-point shootout for the 3-on-3.
Okay. I mean, you sent me the piece, so you just handle it, brother.
No, that's the piece. They had a shootout, a 4-point shootout in the 3-on-3 competition, and Ice Cube beat LeVar Ball.
And it seemed like a couple times LeVar Ball tried to take credit for a couple jumpers that
The Cube hit.
that Cube hit,
Tried to steal it.
which I thought was pretty funny, to be honest. But yeah, this was a you know what, I like to see that. I really like to see I like to see that the Big Three caught on the way that it is.
Right.
The Staples Center looked pretty packed down there.
They had the championship, right?
I don't think that was a championship, actually. I think the championship is in Vegas.
Okay.
But I think that was the road to the championship. I think that was the semis and the whole song and dance, and that was the way to move forward. And
I think
Al Harrington and them are balling out.
I would say that it's a success off the top.
I would say so too.
Yeah.
Other than AI not choosing to play, I think
Or show up.
Other than AI giving you AI, which maybe was in his contract. I
give you the AI?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's about all I got. You got something else?
What about your boy Bolt?
I don't even want to talk about it.
That's why you didn't have anything else.
I didn't have anything else. The greatest sprinter of all time, ladies and gentlemen,
He's going out on the cart.
in his very last race, unbelievable, ends up popping a hammy. Popped a hammy on that relay race and couldn't even finish.
That's terrible, right?
Took a victory lap on barefoot, which was really cool. And still, though, big love to Usain Bolt, because I tell you what, you know what he did? He went out and he had a good time. That's what he did afterwards. And that's just who he is, man. He loves being Usain Bolt, and I love people who love being themselves.
Right? There's nothing wrong with it.
And it's just so evident, you know what I mean? It's so clear. It's so evident.
Just like Conor McGregor. Evident that he can't.
Did you see the Conor McGregor challenge going around? Did you see Terrence Crawford? Did you see Bud Crawford and everybody at his gym clowning Conor McGregor? Now, why wouldn't Conor McGregor just actually do something that he was good at and leave the boxing as a mystery?
He's feeling himself, I think.
I would love to hear from any callers or anybody who actually thought that the Conor McGregor workout was impressive. Because the spaghetti arms, the dancing from side to side, which looked like it could be cool at the club on a Thursday night, I don't think that that's going to help him against Floyd Mayweather.
I can guarantee you that it's not going to help him.
And it's a trip, though, because Floyd is doing every single thing that he can
to sell it
like he should have a problem with him.
Look, I'm old. I ain't as fast.
I got torn cartilage in my knee.
I mean, he can actually put me to sleep. He's a one punch, I'm just a punch away from.
He's taller. He's doing everything he can to get you suckers to buy the fight. I'm going to watch it on somebody else's dime.
Yeah.
This one, I'm not excited about this fight, but I will be watching the fight just so I can talk about it on the Ozone afterwards.
How
with
bad
everyone.
is the punishment going to be for Conor McGregor?
This is what we need to know.
That's the bottom line. How bad is it going to be? Will he put him in the hospital?
I hope not. I hope he can spend his $100 million. And now, what was your take on that Paulie Malignaggi? How they played Paulie Malignaggi out?
Paulie want to fight him in 2018. They said he want to lace him up. Paulie's embarrassed.
He's embarrassed. He ate a lot of good punches in that footage. I will say that. And
Paulie ought to be ashamed of himself.
I agree. But what Paulie said was, "Look, man, he started to make a bunch of excuses.
They paid me to eat him."
Well, what he said is that was 12 rounds from an out of shape fighter. He said that was 12 rounds, and that footage was from the last 2 rounds. He said the first 10 rounds I dominated, and that's why they don't want to release the footage. That's what Paulie said.
Paulie shouldn't have let him put the tape on him and put the cameras on him.
Yeah. Put the cameras on him. Yeah. They put the cameras on Paulie. He wasn't ready.
He dropped Paulie, right?
Now, was it a drop or was it not a drop?
It looked like it was a drop to me. I'll give him a drop.
It looked like it was a drop. It looked like it was a chocolate drop, but at the same time, there was a, what I will say is, even with that drop, there was obvious video editing that took place because they cropped the video, and since we're into editing, you can see that kind of thing. I didn't necessarily see any clear-cut case of pushing over, like Paulie was claiming.
Right,
but
no. He looked like he caught one on top of the dome, probably knocked off his
his
equilibrium.
balance, and he hasn't, and he just got off the plane, and he hasn't been fighting. He's out of shape, But, my bigger concern was McGregor hit him flush with a left hand, which is his power shot, and it snapped his neck, but it didn't do any,
And that's a punch that he will not land on Floyd.
straight down the pipe.
Come on, man.
Wow.
Even the old Floyd's, it's just not going to just
You ever see that footage
straight down the pipe.
You ever see that footage in the gym on one of the 24/7s when 50 Cent was at Floyd's training camp when one of their times when they were friends and 50 was standing there with Floyd Mayweather Sr. And he holds up his hand and he tells 50, he said, hold up your hand. And so 50 holds up his hand, he pops a jab. He said, okay, now you watch this. Move your hand. Move it as fast as you want, wherever you want to go. So 50 starts moving his hand. He cannot move his hand out of the way of old Floyd Mayweather's punch. No matter where it is that he puts his hand, Floyd Mayweather just taps him. Floyd Mayweather Sr. taps him right in the middle of his palm. Every single time. He moves it here. He moves it there.
Come on, man.
It was cool. It was really impressive. Then he took off his shirt and he's like, man, y'all don't know nothing. I eat cake, drink soda the whole night. I've been in shape. Yeah, you great old work. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on another spirited edition of the Ozone. I'm going to leave you with a quote here from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which seems apropos at the time. Dr. King said, the thing wrong with America is white racism. Large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility in the status quo than about justice and humanity. Yeah, you great old work. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on another spirited edition of the Ozone. I'm going to leave you with a quote here from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which seems apropos at the time. Dr. King said, the thing wrong with America is white racism. Large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility in the status quo than about justice and humanity. Come together, people. Listen to John Lennon. We're all on the same side. We are all in the same gang. But it doesn't matter if we don't play together. I am Omar Miller, your host, and this is the Ozone.
Ozone.
I was born to shine, I was born to grind, had to switch up, now everybody got their lights off, from Soho to SoCo, I do this thing total, so theaters, you can find me in the Ozone, chilling with my crew, working till the day that our dreams free us, you might find LeBron bumping this up in the Kia Jet. I'm just living the dream, I'm in love with the lights.
Why you look at that man? You talk about that swole picture of your boy James Harden. I didn't see it. You see it? Yeah. Beast mode.